With Yellowstone continually hinting at the death of a major character, it seems like almost every hint may be pointing to the impending death of Casey Dutton. Yellowstone's 5th season is set to redefine Casey and Monica's relationship with the family as well. But what specifically is going on? Let's dive in. Will Casey really die? Some events in Yellowstone Season 5 do seem to suggest that Casey Dutton's death may be on the horizon. Some of the most notable include Casey's visions in the Season 4 ending, which not only revealed his two different paths, but also foreshadowed betrayal, comeuppance, and death. Additionally, the preview for episode 6 showed an EMT helicopter appear after the majority of the cast rode off for the cattle run, as well as John Dutton comforting Tate, Monica, and Summer visiting the Dutton gravesite, and the core ranch cast bar Casey reacting to something suggested to be harrowing. These signs seem to point toward a future death in the show, which could very well include Casey Dutton. With everything pointing toward the death of somebody fresh, and that somebody being Casey, there's a very strong argument toward this happening. Admittedly, Yellowstone Season 5 opened with the death of John Dutton's youngest son, baby John Dutton, but these clues point to the death of Casey Dutton in Yellowstone Season 5. With that said, there has been no definitive answer from the showrunners or cast regarding Casey's fate. It could go either way, and we're sure it's not even settled entirely behind the scenes either. Regardless, this is without question one of the top theories about Yellowstone at the moment, and is something that can't be taken lightly. What would even happen if Casey dies? Yellowstone Dutton Ranch is already riding a fine line, and the fate will become even more uncertain if Casey dies. It could give the show a much-needed shakeup, as many of the conflicts throughout the show are tied to Casey. From his relationship with both the Duttons and Broken Rock to his role as livestock commissioner. If Casey dies, it could be the catalyst for either John or Thomas to find common ground, or for the conflict between them to escalate. Alternatively, it may cause Monica to become even more entrenched in the Dutton family and strive to honor Casey's memory, or it could lead her to turn away from the family and take Tate to join the Confederated Tribes of Broken Rock. There are a lot of possibilities, so only time will tell how much of an impact his death will have on the show. Still, it would be an incredibly bold move if the showrunners decide to go through with killing off Casey, and it would be a huge shakeup to the show's entire dynamic. When you consider a show so built around a character that can be killed off with such a drastic effect, it's not hard to imagine why the showrunners might be debating this move. Could Casey's death be a fake distraction? Another possibility is that it's not Casey, but Lloyd who will die in Yellowstone Season 5. The show has dropped several hints about his impending death, including the young version of Lloyd appearing in the Season 5 prequel flashbacks and Forrest Smith being cast in a major recurring role for Season 6. This could be a red herring to throw viewers off and make them think it's Casey who will die. Although this wouldn't be nearly as impressive of a move, it could still be effective in keeping viewers on their toes, and it just may be the route the showrunners go with. Ultimately, all viewers can do is watch and wait to see what Yellowstone's 5th season has in store. The possible death of Lloyd would still have an impact too, seeing as he's the longest working cowboy at the Dutton Ranch. His death would be a huge blow and hint to a darker fate for the ranch, which could be explored in full if Yellowstone continues on past Season 5. Similarly, it's possible that Casey and Monica's relationship is being redefined to focus more on the family and its well-being. Speaking of, let's talk about what Kelsey Asbill had to say about this. Okay, so as far as the Duttons go, things have been particularly hard for Casey Dutton and his wife Monica Dutton. These two have had more trouble than even the rest of the Duttons. Still, in Season 4, it seemed for a while that they were headed for smooth sailing when they found out they were expecting a second child. Of course, the tranquility was tempered when Casey mentioned he had seen the end of us during a spirit quest. Kelsey Asbill, who plays Monica, recently revealed that Casey and Monica will be looking to make some major changes in the show's 5th season. Asbill hinted that this could mean redefining their relationship with the rest of the Dutton family. Apparently, there are some big changes on the way. What did Kelsey have to say about this? Given all that this pair has endured, especially when you consider the events of the Season 5 premiere, it's no shock that these two are in a pretty dark place. And after the season opener, it's pretty easy to imagine that Casey's warning of the end of their family will come sooner than expected. That being said, Casey and Monica are still soldiering on. During an interview with Luke Grimes, who plays Casey, he said he's always between this rock and a hard place. That's sort of his storyline and his arc. What decision is he gonna make? This is something important to break down and evaluate, as it suggests that Casey is at a crossroads and his decisions will determine the outcome of the series. Kelsey Asbill then echoed Luke's sentiments with her own thoughts about the 5th season. Now we're in a survival mode. It's really, against all odds, but I feel like this season, it really kind of redefines our relationship to the family and our part in its legacy. This further indicates that Casey and Monica will be making major changes in the 5th season of Yellowstone, which could lead to unexpected outcomes and shakeups to the show's formula. While it doesn't provide a definite answer as to whether Casey will die, it does hint that his decisions will have a major impact on the future of Yellowstone. These interviews show that Yellowstone is far from over, and the show writers have plenty of monumental changes yet to come. There are plenty of shocking things which could happen in the 5th season, and while we can't be sure whether or not Casey will die, it's a possibility that should definitely not be ruled out. Okay, let's talk about Rowdy and what happens to him. Spoilers ahead in case you haven't seen this part of the show. Ready? Okay, so in the December 18 episode of Yellowstone, the tension between Rowdy and Rip finally came to a head. After taunting Rip about Beth is a key flashback scene, Rowdy and Rip got into an all-out brawl. Rip bashed Rowdy's head with a rock when he gained the upper hand. Rowdy later succumbed to his injuries out on the ranch. There were a couple of routes that he was thinking of at the time that he kind of filled me in on and just let me kind of be a part of the process a little bit, just in terms of peeking into his brain a bit of where it was going. But all of the outcomes led to me not making it. Kai, who played Rowdy, said, "I think that moment was one of the main things that I talked about with Taylor because Rowdy is not just a one-dimensional character," Kai continued. "I think that he finally gets to show this side of him at the end. He could be fully panicking right now and knowing he's going to lose his life. But I think this moment is super important. When I read this, I was so happy that it was in there for Rip and Rowdy, and just the development of Rip overall, of just understanding that Rowdy is not going to make it, but he still cared enough about Rip to make sure he had a chance at not getting his handed to him in a way with John Dutton." So what does this mean? Well, it looks like Rowdy's death will have a long-lasting impact on the show. It's likely that Rip will take this experience and learn from it, thus allowing him to better protect his loved ones. As for John Dutton, it looks like the bond between him and Rip is strengthened, so long as he doesn't tell him what really happened during their fight. Additionally, with Rowdy gone, there's room for fresh faces in Yellowstone. This is something the show will probably have to do for quite a while if it wants to run long term. It'll have to cycle out characters and cycle in new ones like any good show. Although this might be disappointing to any fans of Rowdy's character, it's something that had to happen. And really, think about it. Who knows what new characters will be introduced in season 5? All we know is that things are sure to get even more chaotic and intense in future episodes of Yellowstone. Okay, let's sum up everything we've learned. In this video, we discussed the possibility of Casey Dutton's death in Yellowstone season 5 and what that could mean for the future of the show. We also talked about Kelsey Asbill's recent comments on how the 5th season would redefine Casey and Monica's relationship with the family. We also discussed Rowdy's death and what it could mean for the show, specifically with regard to John Dutton's bond with Rip and the introduction of new characters. There are so many exciting new possibilities for this show that could redefine the entire series, and it's clear that the writers are building to something big. Only time will tell what happens, but fans can be sure to expect plenty of twists and turns as Yellowstone season 5 continues. One thing is for sure, Yellowstone is a show that doesn't hesitate to hurt its characters and make them suffer. So it's possible that Casey Dutton will die in season 5. But until we get more concrete answers, all viewers can do is watch and wait to see what's in store. That's it for this video though. Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comments and whether or not you think Casey will die in season 5. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.